large topic, very controversial, gonna affect your web and not in a good way. Way back 2015, AMP, or Accelerated Mobile Pages, was a way for Google to cache web pages and make them available to the user quicker, but at a trade-off to privacy or, really, interacting with Google at all. And back in November of 2019, Google proposed web bundles, which made it more difficult to block ads and manipulate content on a web page. Think PDFs, not web pages. It ultimately died in February of this year. In December of 2021, Google weakened the power of extensions with Manifest v3 such that ad blockers are much less effective. Then, in May of 2022, first-party sets were introduced through the W3C by Google, which allowed different sites in or out of a single domain to communicate information about the user. The W3C decided to drop the idea in June, as there was no way to implement it without causing major upset with regards to privacy. The original Google post, April 25th timeframe on GitHub, has an explainer that says, from a group of Googlers. They put up the Web Environment Integrity Proposal. Its purpose is to allow web servers to evaluate the authenticity of the device and honest representation of the software stack and the traffic from the device. Offer an adversarially robust and long-term sustainable anti-abuse solution. Don't enable new cross-site user tracking capabilities through attestation. Continue to allow web browsers to browse the web without attestation.
That sounds kind of good. And when you get into the GitHub and actually read the introduction and the summary and how they plan to implement that, it does sound kind of good.
It's nice, no cross-site user tracking. That's a good thing, right? I mean, that sounds like we've got extensions and stuff that help us mitigate that sort of thing.
And one of the main goals is to kind of cut down on inauthentic web clicks. But you get the feeling really early on that this particular proposal is about Google's bottom line.
It's about the money.
Yeah. I don't know if it's all about the money. And there could be genuine concern behind that, but why is that one of the very first concerns?
Well, I'll just throw this out there, right? So Google is often thought primarily as a technology company, but I feel like that is a misrepresentation of their actual strategy.
The technology is secondary.
They are primarily an advertising company. Yeah, so they're looking to sell you advertising, and they're using technology as the conduit to get it to you.
Right. I mean, it's why there are ads in Gmail. It's why they're upselling you in Drive, and why there's ads in Google searching, and
holy cow, are there ads in YouTube?
So this was back in April, and it didn't take too terribly long for everybody else to kind of figure out what's going on. And by everybody else, I mean Mozilla, Vivaldi, Brave, the EFF.
Yeah.
So Mozilla comes out on July 24th. And so to be clear, this is not necessarily a Google from up on high initiative. It
certainly doesn't seem that way. Yeah, but it seems like a proposal that is going to be pushed up that direction.
Right. It is internal. It is from Googlers. So we know that there is some interest there. So Mozilla is the first off the blocks to come out with, I hesitate to call it a rebuke, but I mean, yeah, kind of. In a positions article in GitHub, they say, Mozilla opposes this proposal because it contradicts our principles and vision for the web. Any browser, server, or publisher that implements common standards is automatically part of the web. The use cases listed depend on the ability to detect non-human traffic, which, as described, would likely obstruct many existing uses of the web, such as assistive technologies, automatic testing, and archiving and search engine spiders. So before we go on to Vivaldi stuff, these are big issues, and one of the main things that comes out during a lot of these rebukes is that there aren't answers in the document yet to say how this type of attestation, this type of so I guess before we go on, basically what WEI or Web Environment Integrity is about is it is letting the Google Play Store, the Apple Store, whoever basically bless a browser or some other technology that allows you to connect to web things, internet things, and if and when they are blessed, then you are able to proceed. You're able to access the information that is at these URLs or at these places. And if you are not blessed, think F-Droid, think any other way to sideload applications, think Linux. If you are not blessed, then you cannot play. You cannot access. You cannot be there. And so this is why it's a big deal. This is technology that everybody uses. Now there are the haves and there are the have-nots.
And I want to go a step further here with that. A lot of people are thinking, oh, their web browser is not going to work. So like if I side-loaded Opera or Vivaldi onto my Android from, either by downloading it directly onto my phone or, through some other store, that won't work. That's not the only things that are touching the web. Please remember, because there are, what application do we use, especially on our mobile devices, that isn't designed to touch the web? And all of them are falling into this category as well. Not just your web surfing. Yeah.
Right, because the whole thing about this is that this proposal brings in a third party and a tester, someone that blesses the browser and says, yes, you can go to that website. And that attester has a public key that is available that you can say, all right, that attester is who I think they are. They have said that this particular software signed the way that it is signed can access my website. Therefore, okay, you can now see my content. And so while Vivaldi from the Play Store will work because the Play Store is the attester saying, yes, Vivaldi can go, doesn't mean that downloading Vivaldi by itself would work. Because if you're on Linux or the store that you got it from or the PPA or whatever would then be that attester. And did they go through the proper channels to become an attester with a public key that is verified by all of the other attesters that are there that to make sure that everything is on the up and up? Yeah, I'm going to guess no.
Because you're probably going to have to pay money to do that, right?
Oh, first because it ain't free to check all this stuff.
Right, so that's one thing. But I feel this is like adding a layer of authentication. And so we're authenticating you or your thing to be able to have something that is intended to be open.
This is why I love Mozilla's statement on this. Any browser, server, or publisher that implements common standards is automatically part of the web, right? The standards have already been agreed on. HTTP works.
Yeah.
The consortium, right?
Yeah.
Which Google is a big part of, unfortunately.
But so is Mozilla and all of the other players.
The fact that we have already agreed on the way that these people can, anybody can access stuff on the web. Now that is being with this proposal would uproot all of that. Would say now we need to bring in a third party. Now we need to make sure that your browser is what we think it is and who it came from, and now you can access Tumblr or whatever you're trying to get access to.
Because all of those, even individual apps, are basically a browser that's going to some web page. Yeah,
exactly. If you've ever actually taken one of those one of the apps like Twitter or anything else and it went through one of the portals that tells you your user agent, it's just a browser.
right.
It comes up as, I mean, in iOS it comes up as Safari,
Right.
every single time. In Android it comes up as probably Chrome or some Chromium
I think so.
variant.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So everything is going to have to be attested, has to be part of this blessed group of stuff. And so the next day, after the Mozilla statement, Vivaldi released a statement, and in it they said, it is also interesting to note that the first use case listed is about ensuring that interactions with ads are genuine. While this is not problematic on the surface, it certainly hints at the idea that Google is willing to use any means of bolstering its advertising platform, regardless of the potential harm to the users of the web. Now, pay special attention to this part of their statement. Will Linux be completely excluded from browsing the web, or will Canonical, the Ubuntu Canonical, become the decider by virtue of controlling the snaps package repositories? Who knows? But it's not looking good for Linux.
Shots fired in a couple of directions there, but yes.
So you could say, the more open Linuxy, standardy, flat pack, flat hub thing,
Right.
they kind of get to be controlling with what goes in. I mean, that's Mozilla though, so I guess not, right? Like
Maybe not.
Mozilla
I don't know.
decide, but
They're getting better
right,
about verifying things, right? They've come up with mechanisms. FlatHub has come up with mechanisms to verify publishers and whatnot. So maybe they could do it too, in addition to a Snap repository. I don't know.
Right.
I'd like to think. I'd like to hope if I hope not, but I hope if this were to actually come true, it would be unfortunate. But I hope there's more than one attester.
Yeah, right. That isn't the Apple Store and the Google Play Store.
Yeah, it's got to be more
the
than
Windows
that.
Store.
Yeah, it needs to be more. Yeah,
because those three are shoe-ins. Those three are the ones that are going to be the ones.
Absolutely.
But this may be the end of being able to run out and grab software from the internet and run it. That is internet connecting, and I don't know.
That makes me sad.
But Vivaldi's statement was the only one that explicitly called out Linux. I know there have been many Linux blogs and things like that talk about this, but Vivaldi, one of the people that are directly involved in part of this attestation, who have said that they are not going to support WEI, WEI, specifically calls it out, and it's a good point. So Brave came out on August 1st. They said, as with many of Google's recent changes and proposals regarding web environment integrity would move power away from users and toward large websites, including the websites Google itself runs. Though Brave uses Chromium, Brave users do not and will not include WEI. So another one on the train. Those are it, right? Like Firefox, Vivaldi, Brave. Right. I don't think Edge much cares. I don't think Microsoft much cares because as they are the arbiters of truth when it comes to secure boot.
Well, absolutely.
They don't care because they are a shoo-in. So
they'll have to be in the party. Yeah.
Right. They don't even have to do much. They just have to set up their infrastructure to talk to the attestation servers.
Well, listen, they can just flash some coin because that's what they've got. They can just do that.
Hey.
They'll just sign on. Here's my money. Shut up and take my money. Right? I mean, that'll be where that's at. Exactly.
Just scooch over. We're here too.
Yeah.
So then a week later, the EFF on August 8th added that Google is adding code to Chrome that will send tamper-proof information about your operating system and other software and share it with websites. Google says this will reduce ad fraud. In practice, it reduces your control over your own computer and is likely to mean that some websites will block access for everyone who's not on an approved operating system and browser. It also raises the barrier to entry for new browsers. So you kind of get maybe they have Linux in mind when they're writing this article,
I think they're just talking about any operating system, though, when you think about it, because,
Yeah.
I mean, slap that old warranty sticker across whatever operating system you're running, and the one that says, no user serviceable parts are inside, and thou shalt not add on, anything. And so in order to get the case off of that, computer to add the RAM, you gotta slice open that sticker, and now you've voided your warranty by installing some piece of software that didn't come from the blessed place.
And I think the EFF goes a little further in their explanation of where their head's at. When they start talking about user agent switching, like we enjoy a whole lot of that. Vivaldi, we just covered in the last browser watch, where Vivaldi is using agent switching shenanigans to allow their users to access Edge's Bing.
Yeah, the AI stuff, yeah.
Now, with this attestation, that wouldn't be possible.
You
now won't be able to say that my browser is this other browser, so you can get access to software that is not, it's not like it wouldn't work in the browser that you're using. It just says, oh, that user agent says Firefox, so no.
Right.
How about no? There's a whole new barrier of entry now to get in, and that's the last, at least of the reading that we've got in here in the show, of what the EFF is getting at. It raises the barrier to entry for new browsers. Think about GNOME Web.
Yep.
You think GNOME Web's going to be part of this?
I don't think so. A Falcon? How about that one? Yeah.
You think there's going to be a third-party attester just waiting and ready and raring to go to say, all right, you know what, y'all are attested. Let's go. Let's move on. Let's get back onto the open web. Yeah, I'm gonna guess not. So we're again, just have to stress it's a proposal and not anything that is about to happen. This is not Manifest v3.
Yeah, we don't want to instill too much fear here, but and there is some uncertainty, obviously, and doubt. I mean, yeah, that's applied. Don't read into this too much, like Leo said.
But when you get a statement from Firefox, you get a statement from Vivaldi, you get a statement from Brave, and they're all saying we will not implement this way.
Yeah.
Web in web environment. What is it?
No.
Web. What is that?
Web environment integrity.
And then the EFF puts the cherry on top and says these are all the things that is going to break if you do something like this.
Yeah, and so the initial announcement comes out in the end of April, and then boom, a bunch in May, in July.
Yeah, over the next 4
August,
months, really.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody's just piling on at this point. Yeah, it's just coming in.
So, and what's funny is in the bit of history that kind of leads up to this is kind of what Google's been doing. We didn't even talk about Flock.
No, that's another one that we've got to check in on again, I guess, at some point.
Right? Yeah. Whatever came after Flock. Flock died.
It did.
Flock flopped, and then the next one,
replacement
the cohorts
for that
one,
right?
Yeah, is still kind of coming still.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's just a pattern with Google.
Essentially, WEI is like scary stuff. That's the long and short of it. I really hope that it doesn't come to fruition. For a lot of reasons, just a lot of reasons. I think it removes the openness, like we talked about, to the web and open access to things that should be available in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yep. And in that way, I'm glad Mozilla had their word first.
I am too.
Because I think it very succinctly puts the argument together.
Right.
The open web is the open web. There shouldn't be a third party deciding who can access and who can't.